I believe that when you truly know yourself, you win. Welcome to On the Daily, the podcast where we dive real deep into human design, astrology, and your subconscious mind, all with the intention of you building your idea of a big delusional life and an even more delusional business. My name is Danielle McCleary, and I am a master human design and astrology teacher, somatic coach, business mentor, public speaker, and seven-figure entrepreneur. My biggest gift is the ability to see beneath the surface, and I think too many people look outside of themselves for who they should be and what they should be doing. Around here, that is unacceptable. Around here, we break the matrix and really remember who the heck we are underneath all the programming. This podcast will give you all of the tools, mindset, and practical application you'll need to be everything you came here to be in the shiniest way possible. Are you with me? Let's freaking go. Hello, On the Daily family. Welcome back to the show. In this episode, I'm going to talk about human design. And I have a 6'2" profile in human design. And I think the 6'2" kind of gets like a little bit lost. And people don't really know like how to use their 2 line and how to use a 6 line. And I just want to show you how human design can really be applied to building your life, building a business. And I want to show you how I utilized my 6'2" profile when creating and launching House 5, which is my new movement modality and my own personal method for fitness that I recently launched. So if you're into human design and how it applies to real life, not just theoretically what it should look like, but actually how it plays out, this episode's for you. If you haven't gotten on the waitlist for House 5, I really think you should. House 5 is my brand new fitness and movement method that I created based on the principles of astrological transits, somatic healing, and nervous system mastery. It's a 90-minute experience that combines 5 different parts, all designed to get you into your body, to release what no longer serves you, to move, to feel something. We dance, we shake, we work out, we squat, we lunge, we jump, we scream, we cry, and then we embody. And it's a really beautiful era of movement that is launching and has launched, and it's coming to either a city near you or a computer screen near you. And you can always join us virtual for classes. Live classes take place in Austin every month, as well as we're going to start doing some pop-ups in different cities around the country. So if you want to move differently, if you are someone who like traditional workout classes just no longer do it for you, and you really are looking for something that's like deeper and more embodied and more soulful and more powerful, then House 5 is definitely for you. Click the link in our show notes, or you can come follow our Instagram at house5_official, house the number 5_official, to learn more and to get on our list so that you never miss an event. I hope to see you there. House 5 is here, baby. Let's go. Human design is something that people talk about so much, and oh my gosh, like my human design is this, and this is how I should be doing things, and this is how I ideally should be launching, and how I should be blank, 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 blank. But I think what we miss sometimes, and again, this is probably like just this like Neptunian Pisces energy that we just got out of, is like we talk a lot about how it should be with our human design, but then what people forget is like the actual real life application and what it looks like in practice. And so for this episode, I thought I would tell you all about how I use my human design to launch House 5, to create House 5, what it looked like on the outside for people. Like as a 6'2", I have a projection field around me. So the projections that I felt from other people during launching this, and just kind of like really share like how it looked in real life, because I think that this is something that, we don't always, we hear a lot about how theoretically life should look for certain profiles, but then we don't see the real life application. So, okay. I am a 6'2" in human design, which is the 6 is the role model or the wise sage, and the 2 is the natural or the hermit. Those 2 energies together make me somebody who is very good at certain things, and I learn things very quickly. And then also things just come very naturally to me. I always say 6-2s could have raised ourselves. Like in a lot of ways we did. And, we may have had a parent that we actually had to parent. But also we've always been people that people come to for advice. And we are always people that others want to know what we think. We were born with the how hard could it be gene. So anybody with a 2-line has this, but 6-2 specifically, like, did you ever watch Grey's Anatomy when you were a kid, or House? And when they would do like brain surgery, you'd be like, I could do that. How hard could that be? Just give me like a YouTube tutorial. I could figure out brain surgery. That's very much how a 6-2 operates. It's very much this like, I could do that, which I always thought was normal. Like I always thought everybody was like that. Turns out that's not true. Turns out there are people that don't think like that at all. And I've learned, and I think as a 6-line, my Saturn return up until 30 was a really big period of my life because I learned a lot of lessons. I experienced a lot of things. I lived many lives before I turned 30. And now in my second phase of being a 6-line, which is like usually you're on the roof phase between 30 and 50 when your Chiron returns and, you have that some people call it a midlife crisis, but it's really just a Chiron return. Until then, you're kind of on the roof and you're taking all of these lessons and all of these experiences that you've had in your first 30 years, and you're applying the lesson to them, and you're observing the unlearning and the deconditioning process. You're doing a lot of deconditioning during this time. And then as you get closer to 50 is really when a 6-line comes home to themselves and really realizes that they were their own superhero all along. So we're kind of like a fine wine. We get better with age. An example of a 6-2 that I always like to use, and like love him or hate him, I don't really care. But somebody like Barack Obama, if you think about Barack Obama before he went into office, he was 48. So he was coming into his Chiron return. He was nearing his like third phase of life. So he was like really coming into like his full self and really returning home to himself. But I think it's really interesting and really fascinating that since he left office, he's actually been like called on more as like a Gandalf character, like a wise man that people bring in for his opinion and bring in to weigh in on things. And like, again, love him or hate him, agree or disagree, I don't really care. What I'm asking you to do is step outside of your own personal bias towards the human and look at the energy at which they live their life. I think it's fascinating to see that he's actually in the scope of the consciousness, like his wisdom, he's been utilized for his wisdom more and more as he's gotten older than when he was actually president, which is fascinating. But that's a very 6-line thing. That's very 6 energy. So we're a fine wine. We get better with age, and things come very naturally to us, like quicker than we can explain. So for me, this is like astrology and human design. Like when I quote learned these two systems, I didn't feel like I was learning them. I feel like I was remembering them. And my ability to teach human design and to teach astrology is so, I find it very easy to do so. I do not find it complicated. I do not feel it like a nuanced subject. I find it very easy to draw very easy parallels and bridges for people so that they can read their own charts. Like it's a very simple process for me. I realize that that's not how it is for most people, and it can be very hard to grasp for some, but that's just an example of a 2-line. Like we just get things. Like there's just things we understand. We're naturally good at certain things, and that causes a lot of projection. So because for people that things don't come easy to, people project their fears, their insecurities, their scarcity, their doubts, whatever onto us. And I think a 2-line's job is to learn to like not take that on and to really learn that the more that we just own what we're really good at without having to like justify or prove it to anybody, the more we give permission to others to do that as well. And so in practice and like how this has shown up in my life, it's shown up in my life in a lot of ways, like human design and astrology for sure. And the way that I teach human design and astrology is so grounded, and I know that the way I teach it is so much easier to understand than the way others teach it. And that's not because I'm like a better teacher. It's just because I have a 2-line and it's really easy for me to do so. Another way that my 6-2 profile though has really come into practice is during the creation and the launch of House 5. So A 2-line is also called the hermit. When we are in creation mode and we're like really building something or, really deciding what we like want like our life to look like, we will typically like disappear for a while, like legit disappear. And people will assume that we've either like quit or, that we're shrinking or that we're afraid or, people will assume different things. But it's kind of like, in those old cartoons when there would be like a scientist in a lab. Like, I always get this image of, like, Bugs Bunny, and he's, like, in a lab, and he's, like, banging pots and pans and Bunsen burners, and there's a whole bunch of sounds going on inside, and everyone else has their ear to the door, like, trying to figure out what Bugs is doing inside of there, and then but he doesn't answer the door, and nobody can come in, and then when he's ready, he comes out, and he has this brand new invention, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, how did you make that?" That's kind of what a 6-2 does. That's kind of a 2 lines energy, and I did that with House 5. When I would say really, House 5 has been in the works for the last 5 years, but again, I'm a generator too, so I respond when it pings, right? So this has just been something that I'm now noticing, like, now that I've done it, I'm realizing, like, how much in the back of my mind it's always been and how I've always been kind of, like, creating this in the back of my mind, and then it wasn't until last year where it was, like, painfully clear. Like, it was like, "Oh, you need to create this. This is what it needs to be." And so I went into creation mode and I was writing notes to myself. I was brainstorming. I was trying different things. I also took a lot of different types of classes. House 5 is very inspired by other people. I'm the left angle cross of education. So the more that I learn and the more the different modalities that I learn, the better I can teach my own and like put it into my own words, essentially. And so I'm very inspired by things like The Class by Taryn Toomey, by Kinergy by Julianne Hough. I love Tracy Anderson. I love different practices, different yoga classes, different dance classes, I love boxing. I love, there's just a lot of modalities that I really love. But for me, it was always there was something missing, and it was the astrological perspective or the soulful perspective or, the chance to reflect and the fact that they were the same all the time. I really wanted something that changed with the seasons and changed with the astrology and what was currently happening in the collective. And so I would find myself like kind of trying different things out or like, I would workshop something for myself or I would write notes down or um I would like test it on someone and I was doing this for months. I was doing this like nobody knew about it. Like not like pretty much only my wife really knew about it and my dogs and my cats. I would do it for them a lot. But I was building this and I was creating it because also 2 lines, if you share your ideas before they've come to fruition, like before they're really like cooked, that saying like let them cook, let a 6-2 cook, let a 2 line cook. When the food is done, you will know. And if you try to come into the kitchen and help the chef, the recipe's going to get messed up. And that's very much true of a 2 line. Like a lot of 2 lines, I think, will feel the pressure to justify or explain what they're doing and why. Um, and then what happens is people project their own thoughts and their own fears and their own scarcity and their own ambitions onto the 2. And if a 2 isn't really discerning and tapped into their own energy, then what happens is they kind of start to like take it on, right? They try to like take on the energy of the people around them, which is really hard. And then it gets convoluted. So the idea isn't pure and the idea isn't theirs anymore because it kind of has all this other influence. And then just like if you have a lot of cooks in the kitchen, the recipe gets messed up and then everybody misses out. It's the same thing. Like I knew when I was creating House 5, the whole time I was creating it, I was like, this is going to change the game. This is the new era of movement. This is a global recognized brand. I already see it. Like I predict the future. I always have. And I see it. I can see it so clearly as to what this is going to turn into. But the only way it would have a fighting chance to do that is if I let it cook. And I did not try to share it prematurely. I did not try to workshop it with people. I just continued to build it. Very 2 line energy. And then when it was cooked and when it was ready, to the outside, right, to you who saw it launch, you thought, oh my gosh, she just like launched this out of nowhere. And then people started to project their own like insecurities, like, oh my gosh, you build things so fast. Oh my God, like I could never do that. So I would see like other people around me start to dim and shrink, which was weird. But it's really just, it's the assumption that like because you just heard about it, all of a sudden it's like this brand new thing. But actually, like it's something I had been cooking in the lab for months until it was ready. And that's something that 6-2s should do a lot, because also with that 6 line, while it's cooking, while you're letting it do its thing, and while nobody knows about it, you're gaining wisdom from it. You're embodying it as you go, because 6-2s, we embody things very quickly because we lived a lot of life before we turned 30. So the death and rebirth cycle is something we're so good at. And as you come up with these ideas and you're letting them do their thing, you're actually embodying as you go. So by the time I launched it, and this is just how 6-2s operate, by the time I launched it, I had already embodied the work. Yes, I'm going to continue to grow into that. And yes, as it builds, I'll have to embody a new level and new visibility and new whatever. But as far as the launch portion, the ideation phase, I had already embodied it. So by the time we taught it for real in person to people, it sold so well. I think we had like $1,000 profit off of a 90-minute class, right? Like for the very first one, that was huge. We did really well with it. And it was something that it seemed to other people like I had been teaching it for years. But it was really just because I took all of these experiences that I had had and I had been workshopping it and practicing and cultivating it for so long that by the time it was ready, it was actually ready. So if you're not a 6-2, I think one thing you need to realize is like 6-2s are always going to seem like they're just like doing things very quickly and like pulling things out of our ass and like really just like moving in a way that is like not normal. But you have to remember there's a whole period of time where we are like retreated. I call us indoor cats. Like we are hibernating and creating and cultivating that you don't see. And it's it's part of our process that part of our process has to be super personal. And so by the time you see it, it's not brand new. It's just brand new to you. To us, it's been something that we've been working on and embodying for so long that it's finally ready, which is why it can be frustrating for people to see 6-2s move as quickly as they do, because you only can perceive what you see. So what you can't see is everything that happened before that, but your brain doesn't really try to. So in your mind, your brain's just like, oh, she just launched this thing and like overnight, like it just blew up, blah, 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 blah. And you make stories about it. The best thing you can do is stop making stories about it and really just let it exist as to how it is. But this House 5 was a very 6-2 program or process. It was a very 6-2 process. It was a very generator process. I did not respond to creating it until I got the ping from Sky Daddy to be like, it's time. And as soon as I got it, I was like, you're right, it's time. And then it built very quickly. It sold effortlessly. The class was like amazing. There were no tech issues. Like, yes, I needed a mic. We learned our lesson after that first one, but there were just so many things that just went so smoothly because I was so in my design. I was so living in my blueprint, in my alignment. I was in my satisfaction. I was not frustrated with the process. I was very open and surrendered to like what it could be. So, all that to be said, please utilize your human design in your life. Like, please actually utilize it. Don't just become a master at knowing human design. Become a master at embodying your human design. Become a master at embodying your astrology, embodying the way you operate, where your intuition lies. Take the time to embody it, because just knowing it theoretically is not actually going to help you. And I see this so much where people will be like, I know everything about human design. And I'm like, well, then why are you trying to rush your ideas? You're a 1-3. Why are you trying to just like take people's word for it? Why are you not like getting off on the amount of research you can do about that topic before you launch it? Like, what is the rush? And it's like these are people that are saying how much they know about human design and how much they know about astrology, but like they're not embodying it in their work. And then they're wondering why it doesn't do well. Or, you know, in their relationships, they're not setting boundaries and then they're wondering why they're burnt out, but they claim to be these like knowledgeable people in these modalities. You don't need to teach it instead focus on embodying it. Just work on like living in it. Because when you do, the world opens up for you. Like relationships become easier, friendships become easier, business becomes easier. Regulating your nervous system becomes easier because you're no longer like trying to swim upstream without a paddle. You're just surrendering to the downstream flow that is natural. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Again, make sure that you're on the wait list for House 5. I would love to see you in a class, either virtually or in person. If you live in a city where you're like, oh, I think we could really like sell out this class, DM me, email my team, hey@daniellemccleary.com. Like, I want to take this all over the country, and I'll be utilizing affiliates in each city to kind of help get the word out. So if you're super connected in your city and you're like, yes, this would do well, let's bring it to let's bring it to Arkansas. Like, let's do it. Yeah. Let's bring it to New York City. Let's bring it to LA. Let's bring it to Florida. Let's bring it to other parts of Texas. Let's bring it to Michigan. Like, I don't care. Let's bring it wherever. And, just reach out to us if you're somebody who has a network and thinks that teaching House 5 there would be a cool experience. But regardless if I'm in your city or not, you can always jump on class virtually. The schedule of events and when we're teaching and everything is on once you register for our waitlist, and all the details and being updated on it. So without further ado, I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your week, and I will see you next week. Bye.